Hi. So this is my assignment number 4. Yeah, digital post number 4, digital storying applied. Applying the diet formula to it and everything. So in short, Dr. Vaughn had us listen to this entire project conceptualized that was orchestrated by Dr. Robin Boylorn, and facilitated by two other professors, the second one being Verlyn Williams, and then it was also conjunction with Odalyn Omiola and Opayeme, or Epamai. Probably butchered that. But basically, it was orchestrated through these three black women. And basically, what they set out to do was is create how digital storytelling means for black women in college. Originally, it was applied to like different women around the U.S., but they only stuck to around University of Alabama. Um, and yeah, so basically, they wanted to reach out to women of color in order to give them a voice or give them a platform. A part of it, like I think the quote exactly says, they wanted to give them the paper, pen, and platform in order to enable these women to help share one of their narratives that's close to their heart. Um, in this, we are given multiple things to read and digest from the project. In the first one, we were given the Storyteller Project, prefaced by Dr. Robin Boyd-Lauren. Basically, this is just a play-by-play of exactly how the project came to fruition, the trials and errors that came along the way, and then more or less her personal experience with the project and how she felt at the end of it all, along following the narratives of the 11 or 13, 11 women that were actually able to share their narratives. The second one being When Free Black Women Grab the Mic by Verlyn Williams. This basically conceptualizes her own perception when she was invited onto the project with it and how she perceived it and like what it meant for her. And then the final one being Digital Storytelling and Private Disclosure, Perspective Outsider within with OPUMA. This one right here was basically more of like an actual more of like a journal application from an ethnographical standpoint, conceptualizing the entire project itself, which is pretty interesting. And so then like after that, we as students were asked to go in and watch one video from each of the groups, and to like understand it and process it. The one I went in and watched in group 1 was, which one was it? I'm sorry, I have to double check. Um, oh God, which one did I see? Look, I'm real bad at this, um, because I watched these like 2 weeks ago. But I watched Normal Me Chronicles by Alison Upshaw. Um, Basically, this was going over like Upshaw and her experience with her mom, and it was really like a personal like experience. This was very similar to sort of like what we saw when it came to like the production of the videos like we were showed in class. Um, Showed us showing like the vulnerability that comes with this type of project and like the platform of what it means to do like through like a video. Um, and so yeah, like this was a really good thing. I really liked it. It was different. Um, and then so like in the actual application of it, I would say the reason why that like I guess Dr. Vaughn like structured it and like us in order to like examine like the project in this lens or like through this methodology was to understand like not just the application of what it means to be a storyteller or to like share a narrative, um but to understand like the different perspectives that goes into sharing narratives and exactly what the process looks like for different people and exactly what it can mean. So like in the first 3 pieces of literature, we're showing what it means to be the orchestrator, or giving the platform or helping give access to said platform for bodies and spaces in order to be able to have that space and that vulnerability and to share their narratives. Um, in the second part of it, watching the videos of the actual result and like fruit of the labor of these women shows like the actual space that they are taking by reclaiming it and sharing their narrative and being vulnerable in that process, even without us knowing who they personally are as the people consuming the media. And then the last one being more or less a conceptualization on what it means to be a digital storyteller and why it matters. but then also the downfalls of digital storytelling, because in the process of digesting it, it may seem as like something that is like optimistic of the future. It's not perfect. So yeah, I would say that when it comes to this entire process, I would say as a theory wise, it can serve as a means of creating visibility for vulnerable bodies, especially those of color or queer bodies, as a means of providing space that typically may not be afforded in the physicality of things. But it encourages these bodies to explore the digital landscape as a means of memorializing their entire experience as an actual historical record. This is what I talked about, like in this first article, like the third process of this, of where when it comes to certain identities, or like when it comes to like just different identities and experiences, being able to have your narrative or experience or studies published isn't as accessible, or being able to have the written word shared with your perspective or your take on things isn't as easy, especially in like the world of academia. However, you can just post whatever you want online. You can eternalize yourself in some ways when you post something online. We have the negative concept of internalization online being like you have a digital footprint. But just because that digital footprint can be perceived as negative doesn't mean it can't be something positive. However, that doesn't mean it'll forever be there, because websites get taken down, clouds are erased. It just depends on the circumstances. But it can be as a means of creating a new space for others if you're willing to find a way to navigate it and teach others or even access it yourself. I would say that when it came to this project, but then also like in the in the greater scheme of things, intersectionality really becomes something that is not just understood as a lesson, but like as a hallmark for anyone that is existent and in a body of color. Because throughout the projects, they talk about not just being a woman, but being a woman of color and exactly what that has meant for them. But then they break it even further. It's like, I did not have a mother, or I had to find a chosen mother. Or just not having a traditional household, or experiencing racism at a young age, but not being able to call it that because you've never been told what racism is. And therefore, you're unable to engage with the derogatory means pushed against you in order to fight against them. So yeah, and then I would say like this is a bottom up, top down approach. It's bottom up because when these women came into the project, they were told to come in with like written paragraphs, not paragraphs, assume that to come in with like literature from women of color that they engage with, and exactly why they like it. And so they had to start from there. But then also it was a top down because they're starting on the very top of things, like digital storytelling is a broad aspect. Now we're gonna break it down to exactly what it means to be a digital storyteller. But yeah, that's sort of about all I have to say. Okay, bye.